Chapter 9. Qinse's middle army was already in charge of the defense of the capital before. Because of his amnesia, the Empress Dowage's camp exploited the loopholes. Now that he was back, as long as he called, his old subordinates would respond and take back the imperial city. Subordinates responding and taking back the imperial city would only be a matter of time. But in order to ensure the safety of the young emperor, Qinse didn't make too much noise. Instead, he secretly made arrangements in order to make sure that there would be no bloodshed. This day, the subordinates he'd sent finally captured the Empress Dowage's son alive and brought him back to the barracks. After strictly interrogating through torture, Qinse obtained a list of traitorous officials, then prepared to raid the imperial city to clean up the imperial court the same night. The generals were gathered in the commander's tent to study the sand table when someone suddenly announced outside, "General Yu, someone outside the camp is requesting an audience." General Yu was Qinse's right-hand man and also the General Ding Yuan, who was previously ordered to protect the Zhu mansion. Noticing the commander frowning in discontent, he didn't dare slack off, immediately waving, "Fool, at this time, even the Heavenly Emperor would be turned away if he came. Tell them to leave." The soldier hesitated for a moment, then said, "The other party claims to be Zhu Xiyu from Qingmen County. He came to send the general some army provisions." As the saying goes, an army marches on its stomach, which shows the importance of rations and fodder to the army combat. The surrounding generals' eyes brightened, all looking towards their commander. Why did Ji Yu come to deliver army provisions to specially Yu Cheng? Qinse's thick eyebrows furrowed. He waved his hand. "Bring him in." "Yu Cheng, stay. The rest of you leave." The generals bowed and retreated. "What's your relationship with Ziyu? Have you met before?" The commander's tone sounded very gloomy. Yu Cheng was slightly startled. He quickly replied, "This subordinate has never met Zhu Gongji before. I was ordered by commander to guard the Zhu mansion before. Zhu Gongji probably feels grateful for this. That's why he came here to deliver provisions." Obviously, he was the one who'd issued the command, but the benefits all went to his subordinate. Qinse felt very upset, but he didn't want to expose his identity at this time, so he had no choice but to hide behind the screen. He said, "Talk to him. I'll hide for now." Yu Sheng was baffled by his action, but it also wasn't a good idea to ask too many questions. So he had no choice but to have someone invite Zhu Gongji in. When the curtain was lifted, a young man with a striking appearance, wearing dark red-colored light clothing, slowly entered. His bright red lips naturally curled upwards, so that he seemed to have a slight smile, even when not smiling. His peach blossom eyes were sparkling and clear, seemingly passionate, seemingly ruthless. One could not help but be captivated. This person was comparable to the blazing sun, always the focus of attention wherever he goes. Yu Cheng stared in awe. Then, when he finally returned to his senses, he unobtrusively looked for cinder on the other man's body. A Gare cinder generally grows in very visible locations, either on the wrist, earlobe, or forehead. The redder the color and the more ideal the position, the higher the value. If a Gare had a bright red cinder in the middle of their forehead, they would be like a heavenly immortal descending on the world of mortals, attracting people from all over the world. Unfortunately, no matter how hard Yu Cheng searched, he couldn't find a cinder. He had no choice but to regretfully admit that Zhu Gongji was a man. Looking like this, yet actually a man, such a waste. His heart was a tangled mess, but Yu Xian didn't reveal it on his face. he straightforwardly asked. May I ask, why has Zhu Gongji come to deliver us provisions? There's no such thing as a free lunch. Everyone knew this. Zhao Yunsheng also didn't beat around the bush. He cupped his hands and said, Honestly, I really do have something to ask of the general. 3 years ago, my parents met with bandits in the Lu Shui area and were both killed. Lu Shui is in the general's jurisdiction. I'll be so bold as to ask the general to send troops to eliminate the bandits at the cost of 200,000 den of foodstuff, saving the common people from harm. Although Zhu Xiyu's only wish was to save the Zhu family, Zhou Yunsheng thought that this was not enough. Since he was taking over someone else's life, he must be perfect. Of course, he also wanted to uncover the General Yang Yuan's true identity. Yu Xiang was over 6 feet, looked heroic, had a cold temperament, and his body exuded a familiar scent of tobacco. No matter where he looked, he really resembled his long-lost lover. If it was ordinary times, Yu Xiang naturally wouldn't reject him, but now the imperial court was approaching a crisis. He was powerless under his many responsibilities, so he could only apologize. I'm afraid I can't accept Zhu Gongji's request. I won't conceal it from you. I have a lot of urgent matters to take care of right now. I really don't have any time to spare. Jin Sheng knew that he must be under a lot of pressure from the Empress Dowager seizing control of the palace, so he waved his hand and smiled. No matter, I'll come to trouble the general after this matter is dealt with. The 200 dan of provisions will be left to the general as a small token of my appreciation. The general guarded the Zhu mentioned before. I haven't had time to thank you yet. He was already dazzling when he was expressionless. His sincere smile was simply soul-stirring and dizzying. Yu Qiang stared in awe again. Then he quickly waved his hand and said, It was nothing. Jin Sheng didn't dare stay too long in this important military camp. He cupped his hands slightly and was about to take his leave when he suddenly turned back as he walking out of the tent, asking, General, do you like smoking? Yes. Did the smell of tobacco on me offend Zhu Gongji? Yu Xiang tugged the hem of his shirt in embarrassment. No, it's a very good smell. Jin Sheng's lips hooked up slightly. Then he sauntered away. In the past, he found the smell of tobacco very repugnant. Only when he couldn't smell it anymore did he suddenly realize that he had already gotten used to it. That smell was especially comforting. Yu Sheng's cheeks reddened. He only noticed that the commander was standing in front of him with a dark face and malicious eyes when the other man had walked far away. You're not allowed to smoke anymore. Throw away your pipe as soon as you get back. Why? Smoking too much is bad for your health. The cold weather makes you cough. But, Commander, you smoke a lot more than I do. I quit after I lost my memory. But now it was time to start smoking again. Thinking of this, Chinsei lowered his head and sniffed his arms, but he could only smell fresh soap, no tobacco flavor. He frowned, very upset. That night, the Middle Army's thousands of soldiers suddenly surrounded the imperial city. They captured all 137 members of the Empress Dowager's family alive. The Empress Dowager tried to take the child emperor hostage to break out of the siege, but discovered that the child emperor had disappeared. Her own son also appeared tied up at the entrance of Xinyang Palace with 2 soldiers holding a sword to his neck. The Empress Dowager was helpless. She had no choice but to be arrested. Early the next morning, the mourning bells resounded inside and outside the imperial city. The 4th generation Chuyun emperor had died. His throne, the throne was passed to the not yet 5-year-old young crown prince. The Middle Army commander Qin Se, Left Minister Yang Rong, and Right Minister Huang Bingwen were selected as regents to assist the imperial government. The whole nation mourned for 3 months, after which the young crown prince ascended the throne, waived taxation, and opened up the imperial examinations and granted general amnesty to all citizens. Then a torrential rain suddenly poured over the land, bringing salvation to the barely 1,000 li of Juyin country. The people now towed towards the direction of the imperial palace, all saying that the child emperor was the true dragon emperor. Having calmed down the imperial court, Qin who had already inherited the title of Marquis of Shenwei, led 50,000 soldiers to Luoshu Shui to eliminate the bandits by order of the emperor, while his trusted aide was sent to the Zhang family with many gifts to express his gratitude. Naturally, the previously sent grain and banknotes was not enough to buy back Qin's life. This time he added a lot of gold and silver, jewels, and several deeds for villas which were delivered with great fanfare to the Zhang family's door. He also invited a famous scholar to be Zhang Jiarui's teacher. The matter of the Zhang family saving the Marquis of Shenwei spread throughout the countryside. Those who used to bully the Zhang family were all retaliated on by Zhang Shulin and Zhang Jiarui. A month later, Zhang Jiarui went to the capital to participate in the autumn examination. He won 6th place with good results. Then he immediately participated in the municipal service exam and passed brilliantly once again. In the final court examination, the child emperor heard of the Zhang family's kindness to the Marquis Shenwei, so he selected Zhang Jiarui to be the 3rd-place candidate. This could really be described as my horse proudly gallops with the gentle breeze of spring. In one day I see all Chang'an flowers that make my heart sing. The former Qingmen county magistrate was promoted to the governor of Zhou Prefecture for his achievement of protecting the emperor, and Zhang Jiarui logically replaced his position, becoming the newly appointed county magistrate. Zhang Jiarui, who thought he would remain in the Imperial Handan Academy, was very dissatisfied with this job. He visited the Shenwei marquisate several times to try to improve relations, but he was not allowed to enter. He had no choice but to resentfully take the job. But Zhang Shulin was very happy about this, thinking that since his younger brother became the Qingmen country's local tyrant, he was free to flex his muscle without fear of offending any local bullies. He planned to open a winery and specialize in brewing wine. Because Qingmen County had no large-scale cultivation of grapes, the acquisition costs might be very high, so he planned to buy a mountain to grow his own grapes. After searching the vicinity of Qingmen County for a few days, he finally settled on a mountain. He sent someone to ask around and learned that the mountain belonged to the Zhu family. Then he sent Zhu Yu an oral message. "It's not for sale." Zhu Sheng bluntly refused. Zhang Shulin still didn't give up. He increased his reserved price by 10% and reported to the other party. "I said it's not for sale." Even if Zhu Sheng was to let someone off lightly, it wouldn't be the Zhang family. Zhang Shulin was helpless. He had no choice but to continue looking at more mountains. But the soil and water conditions of the other mountains were not as good as the Zhu family's. They wouldn't grow high-quality grapes. He was a fastidious Virgo, so he lost a lot of hair worrying about this. He refused to sell. When Zhang Jiarui heard about this matter, he sneered. "Then I personally dropped by to talk to him." As the saying goes, the river flows 30 years to the east, 30 years to the west. now that he was the local official of Qingmin County, who must not give him a bit of face. Zhu Ziyu repeatedly rejected his older brother's request. This was simply blatantly slapping his face. The county magistrate personally came to visit. Even if Zhou Yunsheng was getting fed up with this, he had no choice but to invite him in. The two sat opposite each other, both not smiling on the inside. Zhu Gongji, my big brother has his eye on that mountain, so name the price. You'll offer a price first. Zhou Yunsheng took a small sip from his teacup. How about this number? Zhang Jiarui extended his palm. Zhu Yunsheng immediately laughed. My Shu family bought that mountain for 800 taels, and you hack off 300 taels for me at once. Official Zhang, are you doing business, or are you openly robbing? Zhang Jiarui narrowed his eyes and said, You give me a discount today. I'll help you out some other day. This is mutually beneficial for us. It's pointless to talk about losses suffered. Zhu Gongji is extremely smart. I'm sure you'll make the right choice. As the saying goes, citizens shouldn't fight with officials. A small landlord wanting to compete with the county magistrate was like striking a stone with an egg. But Zhou Yunsheng was very stubborn. The more he was pushed, the more he bounced back. He sneered. I have nothing to ask of you, Official Zhang. Mutual benefit is impossible. I'm not selling this mountain, so Official Zhang, if you please. After saying this, he shook his sleeve to drive him out. Zhang Jiarui didn't expect him to be so unyielding. His complexion changed from red to white, then white to green. He said through gritted teeth, Zhu Gongji, I hope you don't regret this decision later. What? Will you want to use your power to oppress others? Suppressing the House of Benevolence praised by the Emperor? You'll have to find a good name before you can succeed. Otherwise, beware of losing your black hat. Zhu Yunsheng pointed to the gold plaque bestowed by the Emperor, which was enshrined in the main hall. It read House of Benevolence. As long as he had this plaque, anyone who wanted to touch the Zhu family must first reconsider. Zhang Jiarui's anger was choked back by his words. He strode away with a purple face.